overview. Okay.
Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night. This is Jack Nicholson. We're taking over this party tonight. We're going to party from the UK since 7 a.m. in the morning. We've been partying, and we're going to keep on partying all night because this is Jack Nicholson. That's right. How's it going, Jay? You're listening to United Public Radio, 107.7 FM New Orleans. We're all still alive, even though it feels like we're all going crazy and about to blow up in a nuclear holocaust. We're still moshing to the apocalypse.
Craziness out there.
Still moshing to the apocalypse, baby. That's right. Waiting for the four horsemen to sound the alarm. And, well, what have you been up to, Jay?
Well, not too much. I just finished a 10-hour shift driving forklifts. And I've been up since 5:45 our time. Anthony's got about 7 hours on me being awake, so I know he's tired. So, I
finally shaved. Look at it.
Oh, wow.
It's 1:15 in the morning here, so yeah.
Yeah.
We got Anthony, am I saying it right? Fucilla. Anthony Fucilla.
Fucilla,
yeah.
Fucilla. I'm from Georgia. That's a redneck state, so I have to be careful.
I know Georgia.
How you doing, Anthony?
I used to live in Georgia, by the way, also myself. So
Where's the toboggan?
Yeah. But anyway, great to have you back. We'll get you on more often. A lot of times I
appreciate it.
You got to check in with me when you want to come in anytime you get a book, because I deal with publicists. A lot of times I just give it to them and I don't do anything. So that's why I don't.
Well, I've just published a new book, and as I said, I'm going to send you a copy, and it'd be an absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
And the same for Jay as well. Yep.
Very cool. Give us that. You can do your intro, please.
Okay. Yeah. So just give me about 5 to 7 minutes, and and then we can have an exchange and wait for some questions from the viewers and so forth. Yeah. So I mentioned in my book. Sorry.
Go ahead. He's
here. I'm here. My camera is off.
Yeah. As I mentioned in my book, the next colossal step in man's evolution is the conquest of Mars. As I mentioned in my book, Under a Martian Sky, Mars, the mysterious red planet, a vast collection of atoms with constant albedo changes. Okay, so in brief, Mars was formed 4.5 billion years ago inside a solar nebula. During its early development, there was a period of chaotic violence. And as a result of the fiery chaos, there was no solid ground. But slowly the new world coalesced, and as a result of gravity, and eventually solid land formed as a result of hydrostatic equilibrium. Now, Mars is just under half the size of our planet, just under half the size of planet Earth. So the red planet is just under half the size of planet Earth. In terms of atmospheric composition, it's 95% carbon dioxide, 3% nitrogen, and 1.5% argon, with minimal traces of water and oxygen. A Martian day is 24 hours and 40 minutes long. Now, in terms of Mars's gravity, it's about 38% that of Earth, with just 10% of the mass. Now, another interesting point here is that Mars was actually dwarfed by its neighbor, Jupiter, the immense gas giant, whose immense gravitational field, in quotes, robbed the red planet of much of its potential material and mass as it formed and reached hydrostatic equilibrium. So basically, Jupiter consumed enormous amounts of material that would have actually aided in Mars's development and growth. So it basically dwarfed the red planet. And it also prevented another planet forming in between the two, leaving the remnants of the asteroid belt. Okay? So I thought that was a very interesting point to mention. Now, Mars's lack of folded mountains, like the ones we have here on planet Earth, indicate that it has no currently active plate tectonics. It's not geologically active. So carbon dioxide cannot be recycled into the atmosphere to create a greenhouse effect. And this is the reason why Mars is unable to retain much heat. So Mars is not geologically active. However, it does experience extreme weather conditions, tornadoes, and so forth. Now, in terms of the distance between Earth and Mars, well, the distance between Earth and Mars is variable due to their elliptical orbits around the sun. This change in distance means that spacecraft destined for Mars will be sent in a launch window every 26 months when Mars is closest to Earth. Now, the journey time is approximately 6 to 9 months. So at their closest points, they're separated by 56 million kilometers. At their closest points, they're separated by 56 million kilometers. And at their furthest points, they're separated by 401 million kilometers. Okay? So basically, it takes astronauts around 6 to 9 months to reach the red planet. and they would have to leave at the precise moment. They would have to leave at the right time when Earth is at what we call perihelion, or at the closest point to the sun of the orbital path to Mars. Now, with regard to spacecrafts will then use a special trajectory. This trajectory is known as the Hohmann transfer orbit, and it works because of a law in orbital mechanics. Sorry if I'm going a bit faster. I'm trying to condense a lot of information in. So basically, this law states that if you increase the spacecraft's energy at perihelion, you increase the aphelion of its orbit, which is how far it gets from the sun. However, you also need to make sure that you arrive in position in Mars's orbit around the sun at the same time that Mars itself does. And of course, this alignment occurs only once every 2 years. Give me a few more minutes, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, in terms of potential breakthroughs, and I'm talking in terms of technology, could mean us getting to Mars a lot earlier in terms of via advanced propulsion systems. So with the way that things are evolving technologically speaking, there are advanced propulsion systems that could get us to Mars a lot quicker. So basically, we won't have to wait for the planets to align anymore, and launch opportunities will be there every year. So traditional rockets take up to 6 to 9 months when Mars and Earth are at their closest points. But if we have a breakthrough with advanced propulsion systems, we can get there a lot quicker. Now, I've got 2 things I want to mention here. Via nuclear thermal propulsion, we could get to Mars in quotes, 2 months. We could get to Mars within 2 months, which is absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Now, nuclear thermal propulsion systems work by pumping liquid propellant, most likely hydrogen, through a reactor core. Furthermore, uranium atoms split inside the core and release heat through fission, and this physical process heats up the propellant and converts it into a gas, which is expanded through a nozzle to basically produce thrust. And this is obviously according to NASA. And of course, this system is more efficient than traditional chemical rockets. Mm-hmm. Now, the next one, and this is a bit of a mouthful, it's called the Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket. The Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket. Let's just call it the M rocket because it's a bit of a mouthful, the M rocket. So the M rocket is basically a next generation spacecraft propulsion system that if, and I put in quotes, if fully developed, could potentially get us to Mars within just 39 days, which is absolutely remarkable. 39 days. So basically, in short, it utilizes a superheated plasma and magnetic fields. It utilizes a superheated plasma and magnetic fields to create continuous acceleration, offering a more efficient and faster way to travel through space compared to traditional chemical rockets. Basically, chemical rockets burn fuel in short bursts, but the M rocket basically provides a steady thrust, gradually increasing velocity over time. So the M rocket basically operates at temperatures, and this is quite remarkable, it operates at temperatures exceeding 10 million degrees Celsius. Basically making it one of the hottest propulsion systems ever developed. Now, this extreme heat is necessary to generate the high-speed plasma exhaust needed for fast space travel. Okay, so I'll repeat it. This extreme heat is necessary to generate the high-speed plasma exhaust needed for fast space travel. But there is a key thing here, and I'll have to mention this. And this is very important. However, to achieve a 30-day Mars mission, in order to get to Mars within 30 days, the engine requires 200 megawatts of power. Which is far beyond what current solar panels can actually provide. Okay, so this is something that is hopefully within time will be fully developed, but it's a process. Okay, so it's again, I'll repeat. In order to get to Mars within 30 days, the engine requires 200 megawatts of power, which is far beyond what current solar panels can actually provide. So again, fingers crossed in the future, hopefully these new technologies will come to fruition and we can get to Mars within a very short time. Now, just a quick thing to note here. With rockets, you measure propulsion requirements in units we call delta V, velocity changes. That's basically what rockets do. They change your velocity. They accelerate you and they decelerate you. For example, to go down from lunar orbit to the lunar surface is 2 kilometers a second delta V. To come back up is 2 kilometers a second, round trip of 4. Now, in terms of actually making rocket fuel on Mars, shall we say a return propellant, we need a system for making rocket fuel. Basically a return propellant. Give me a few more minutes here. And you can actually make rocket fuel on Mars. Take carbon dioxide and water. There's plenty of that there. You then turn them into methane and oxygen, which is an excellent rocket fuel combination. Okay, it's an excellent rocket fuel combination. But you need the system that makes it. Now, in terms of terraforming the planet, and I'll go through this as quick as I possibly can, the average temperature on Mars is minus 63 Celsius. The average temperature on Mars is minus 63 Celsius. And it takes Mars 687 Earth days to orbit the sun. Now, in terms of terraforming, it's all to do with thickening the Martian atmosphere, warming the planet, basically a greenhouse effect. This is basically fundamentally what it is. And at one point, there were huge oceans on Mars. But unfortunately, they sunk beneath its surface. But Mars once had oceans just like Earth. So terraforming is all to do with thickening the atmosphere. So what's the key with this? Greater sunlight absorption is the key in terms of terraforming. Basically, heating the planet and releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, you basically create a greenhouse effect. And over time, you create a human-friendly atmosphere. So how can we go about this? Redirecting comets and asteroids to crash into its surface. This would basically release gases from the impactor and the surface, as well as and create heat. Okay. Another way is to pump huge amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. In other words, hydrocarbons, importing hydrocarbons to Mars. Ammonia is a powerful greenhouse gas. Methane. So pumping huge amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere will thicken the atmosphere over time. You create a greenhouse effect. You heat the planet. Another way is the introduction of algae. Algae can break down carbon dioxide to make oxygen. I repeat, algae can break down carbon dioxide to make oxygen, and it can also help lower Mars's albedo. Albedo is basically the amount of sunlight that is reflected out into space. So basically, by maximizing the planet's albedo, in other words, you're maximizing sunlight absorption. So the introduction of algae, as I said, algae breaks down carbon dioxide to make oxygen, and this helps lower the planet's albedo. So it maximizes sunlight absorption. And albedo is all to do with maximizing sunlight absorption, and basically every single planet, like for example, Earth's albedo is 0.39. Every planet has a certain amount of sunlight that is reflected back out into space. By maximizing sunlight absorption, you reduce the planet's albedo and you heat the planet. So basically, algae breaks down carbon dioxide to make oxygen, and its dark color helps lower Mars's albedo. This in turn helps Mars trap more sunlight rather than reflecting it back out into space. Okay, so I've mentioned that now. In terms of another way is to use orbital mirrors. Orbital mirrors maximize sunlight absorption, reducing the planet's albedo, as I've already mentioned. Using orbital mirrors, you maximize sunlight absorption, reducing the planet's albedo. So basically, you absorb enormous amounts of sunlight, heating the planet. And as a result, you melt the ice caps, releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and you create a greenhouse effect. So you basically lower the planet's albedo, maximizing sunlight absorption. Another way is sending special rovers to the planet, which can produce oxygen. This is very important, sending special rovers to the planet, which can produce oxygen. Basically, using the gas that's most abundant on the planet, which is carbon dioxide, as I've already mentioned. You can have an instrument that will make oxygen and carbon monoxide before releasing it into the atmosphere. Okay. Now, in terms of the Mars cities, most of the living quarters will be underground. And the reason why that will be below ground is to shield people from radiation. Okay. The reason why most of the living quarters will be underground is to shield people from radiation. Okay. But there will be an above ground section too. And it's an important thing here actually to mention. The radiation levels on the surface of Mars are about the same as those at the International Space Station. Okay, so the radiation levels on Mars are about the same as those at the International Space Station. So the living quarters will be mainly underground with a small section above ground. However, that radiation is still dangerous, so we need to consider that. In terms of the colonists, they can spend time within huge dome structures, which will have parks, gardens, and so forth. So an indoor city, basically, indoor cities. Now, in terms of actually powering these cities, a very important point. In terms of actually powering these cities, how do we power these Martian cities? Well, the Martian cities, in my opinion, will be nuclear powered. The Martian cities will be nuclear powered, but ultimately fusion powered. Now, I'll tell you why fusion powered. Fusion power is the best form of power to use on Mars because of deuterium. Deuterium is basically fuel for fusion reactors. Deuterium is basically fuel for fusion reactors. And on Mars, there is a lot. You can find a lot of deuterium, far more than you can find on Earth. So the Martian cities will be nuclear powered, but ultimately fusion powered. And as I've mentioned, fusion power is the best form of power to use on Mars because of deuterium. Deuterium is heavy hydrogen. Deuterium is heavy hydrogen, which is basically fuel for fusion reactors. So deuterium is basically fuel for fusion reactors. And there's plenty of deuterium on Mars, far more than Earth. Another important point, all Martian life support systems, in fact, all space life support systems, at one stage in the process involves electrolysis of water. Electrolysis. Basically, you pass a DC current through you pass a DC current through water. You pass a DC current through water. You separate oxygen atoms from hydrogen atoms. So you have a water solution. DC current passes through water. You separate oxygen atoms from hydrogen atoms. You store the hydrogen. You pump it into a fuel cell. Recombined with oxygen, you generate electricity. Through electrolysis, you can generate electricity. Not to mention that once you've produced hydrogen, you can separate heavy hydrogen from normal hydrogen. As I said, heavy hydrogen is deuterium, which can be used as fuel for fusion reactors. Okay, so electrolysis is basically you pass a DC current through a water solution, you separate oxygen atoms from hydrogen atoms, you store the hydrogen. Once pumped into a fuel cell, recombined with oxygen, you generate electricity. You produce electricity. And as I've mentioned, deuterium is heavy hydrogen. So once you've actually produced hydrogen, it's very easy or fairly easy to separate heavy hydrogen from normal hydrogen. And as I said, heavy hydrogen is deuterium, which is used in fusion reactors, as I've mentioned before. Sorry, I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm trying to get so much information out. And I'm a bit like an encyclopedia going on here, but I'm absolutely wiped up. I need another coffee, actually. In terms of potential problems, another couple of minutes and I'm done. In terms of potential problems, Mars lacks a magnetosphere. And this is a big problem. Now, Mars lacks a magnetosphere due to the slowing of its magnetic core, its iron core. The slowing down of Mars's iron core and the subsequent weakening of its magnetic field is primarily attributed to the change in the cooling rate of the mantle or the shift in the style of convection within it. So basically, the dynamo has been disrupted. The dynamo has been disrupted. So basically, this change disrupted the dynamo, and it's basically the process that generates the planet's magnetic field, a planet's magnetic field, by decreasing global heat flow at the core mantle boundary. So the planet, basically, Mars is basically subjected to enormous amounts of cosmic radiation because it lost its magnetic sphere. It was stripped out. The magnetosphere was lost. It's been stripped out. So it doesn't have a magnetosphere, which means the planet is not protected against cosmic radiation, ultraviolet light, gamma rays from pulsars, neutron stars, and supernova. We're talking about highly energetic particles. So this is a problem for Mars. The planet is bombarded with a lot of cosmic radiation. As I said, it's basically the same level as what we have on the International Space Station in terms of radiation. However, it's still dangerous. But as I've mentioned before, most of the underground quarters, living quarters for the immigrants on Mars, most of the underground living quarters for the immigrants on Mars will be underground. So you'll be shielded away from the radiation. And hopefully, science and engineering and technology, once we actually terraform Mars, we'll be able to build special domes from special alloys that actually repel the radiation. So basically, this would be a great thing. So as I've mentioned, most of the living quarters will be underground, There'll be an above ground section. But if we can actually build domes from special alloys that repel cosmic radiation, even when we're above ground, we'll still be protected. So if we can find a special alloy that can repel these highly energetic particles, that would be something tremendous. Now, the lack of a magnetosphere also poses problems in terms of retaining a human-friendly atmosphere. In time, solar winds will tear away at the atmosphere. In fact, solar winds, as we speak, solar winds are constantly tearing away at Mars's ionosphere and upper atmosphere. Solar winds are constantly tearing away at Mars's upper atmosphere and ionosphere as we speak. This erosion process is constantly happening. Solar winds, this solar wind erosion process is constantly happening. Solar winds are constantly eating away at Mars's ionosphere and upper atmosphere. So once we create a human-friendly atmosphere on Mars, we will still have the same problem. Solar winds eating away at the atmosphere that we produce, the human-friendly atmosphere that we will produce. So what is a solution to this? Well, NASA, and I mentioned this in quotes, NASA were planning to launch a giant magnetic shield into space to protect Mars from solar winds. In short, a powerful enough magnetic shield launched into space could serve as a replacement for Mars's own lost magnetic sphere. So basically, a giant magnetic shield will eliminate many of the solar wind erosion processes that occur in the planet's ionosphere and upper atmosphere. So this is very important. So basically, NASA want to launch a giant magnetic shield into space that will nullify some of these solar wind erosion processes. As I said, Mars is constantly bombarded with solar winds, which is basically eating away at its upper atmosphere and ionosphere. Okay, so once we create an atmosphere on Mars, we would have the same problem: solar winds eating away at the atmosphere that we create, a human-friendly atmosphere. So a giant magnetic shield would eliminate some of these solar wind erosion processes and protect the planet. This would be a fantastic thing. Okay, another. I'm almost there. Give me another minute and a half. But once Mars has an atmosphere, retaining an atmosphere is a problem. Atmosphere and gravity are intercombined. In order to retain an atmosphere, you have to have a certain gravitational field. In order to maintain an atmosphere, you have to have a certain gravitational field. Mars's gravity is very weak. As I said, it's just under half the size of our planet. So once we create an atmosphere on Mars, a human-friendly atmosphere on Mars, that's livable for humans, through the greenhouse effect, as I've explained, it could easily be lost to outer space because its gravity is not strong enough to retain an atmosphere. So the one way to bypass this problem is to replenish the atmosphere and keep it very, very warm. Otherwise, over time, because of the weak gravity on Mars, the atmosphere that we produce, the human-friendly atmosphere that we produce, could be lost to outer space because its gravity is not strong enough to maintain and support an atmosphere. So it's a continual process. Okay, it's a continual process. Okay. Another thing to mention here is that the weak gravity can cause a lot of health problems on the human body. And the list is endless. I could go on and on and on. It's an endless list of problems that can happen, as a result of the weak gravity on Mars, that the effects on the human body, on the mind and so forth, psychologically speaking as well, are enormous. But once housed within a dome, via a central fugal force, you can simulate an Earth-like gravity. Incidentally, to generate 1 G of artificial gravity, it needs to spin at 1.90 or 1.90 rotations per minute. Okay, last part. On Mars, we can actually make plastics, glass, and so forth, and we can actually make steel. We can actually make steel because of iron oxide. As you know, the soil is full of iron. As it interacts with oxygen, you produce iron oxide. So we can make steel on Mars. We can make glass on Mars, and so forth, and plastics and so forth. But for me, in short, if we're going to go to Mars, my personal opinion is to send artificial intelligence, humanoid robots to Mars to actually pave the way for humanity. I believe that the best way forward, especially the way we're evolving in artificial intelligence, the best way forward for mankind, given that artificial intelligence is evolving at an incredible pace, the developments are unbelievable, is to send humanoid robots, AI into Mars, basically out to Mars to pave the way for humanity. Okay, I think I need another coffee.
So what do you think they'll find there? I mean, there's a lot of speculation that there was already a society there that blew itself up, but I mean, I think about the humanoid robots, and I think of aliens, with Sigourney Weaver and the parasitical aliens.
It's funny you mention aliens. It's funny you mention aliens because you know what? There's no doubt that there are aliens. There's no doubt there is intelligence throughout the universe. I'm a theist, as you know. I believe in God, and I believe that God would not have just created life on Earth, but throughout the universe. Okay. So aliens, without any doubt, in my mind, exist. In fact, it's very important that I mentioned this now. We now know through the Kepler Space Telescope, that 1 in 5 stars has an Earth-like planet in its habitable zone at the right distance from its sun to have Earth-like temperatures. In other words, there could be life. Okay. And we know this from the Kepler Space Telescope, that 1 in 5 stars has an Earth-like planet in its habitable zone at the right distance from its sun. So in other words, there is no doubt that there is intelligent life out there. There is no doubt about that. That the life is full of intelligence. The universe is full of intelligence.
I 100% agree. There's the guy that has the Drake equation.
I mean, to break it down, that's like 80 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone. In terms of what I've just mentioned, in context of what I've just mentioned.
Yeah, the number of possible planets in this galaxy, it's mathematically impossible that we're not alone.
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, I'm a theist. I'm a very strong believer in God, and I believe the creator of the universe and so forth catapulted life and set life into motion, not only on Earth but throughout the universe. So this is a very, very interesting concept. Sorry, I went through a hell of a lot of information very, very quickly.
That's okay. I was taking notes as you were going. I didn't want to make it a monologue. That's okay. I took notes as you were going. So, and I already had the questions in my head. Now I have them on paper, so I won't forget. Well, I don't know if we'll get to all.
Another important point to mention, and this is in metaphysically speaking: will the people born on Mars be considered human? Will the people on Mars be considered human? What is it? What is it to be human?
That's one of the questions I had for you. There is possibility.
Well, there you go. Ultimately speaking, as far as I'm concerned, as a theist, doesn't matter where you're born. By the way, are you a theist yourself or an atheist? Or
I do not believe in superior beings like God, like in the Bibles and that kind of thing. I do believe that
I'm a theistic evolutionist. Yeah, so I don't attach my belief to any religion. I just I'm a theistic evolutionist.
I believe in God.
If I would describe myself religious, I would call myself anti-religious. If anything, I think they should all be abolished.
Okay, I'm not connected to any branch of religion.
I heard. Yeah,
I'm a monotheist.
Organized stuff is bad, but anyway,
So what I would say in answer to that is we are made in God's image. So it doesn't matter where you're born, whether you're born on Mars or doesn't matter where you're born. Ultimately speaking, human means having that interconnection with God, made in His image. So if you're born on Mars, you retain your humanity, irrespective of the planet you're born on.
If you're born on Mars, I would say yes, you are human, but I would not say you are an Earthman or an Earther.
What I would say is that over time, obviously, the people that are born on Mars will, in terms of the actual immigrants there, they may have different classifications. In fact, will there be a universal culture on Mars, a new branch of human civilization with new ideologies and so forth? Or new branches of human civilizations. And many people actually ask me, because I write a lot about obviously terraforming Mars and going to Mars as a science fiction writer, why Mars? Well, it's not only for the science, but it's also for the fact that as human beings, within our DNA, we were built to explore, to discover new worlds, like Christopher Columbus, like Cook, and so forth. All the great explorers. It's within our DNA. to branch out and discover new worlds and new possibilities and so forth. So going to Mars is not just only for the science, but it's something that's actually ingrained within our DNA. This innate desire to want to explore, to discover new things, the diversity of the universe, and so on. And not only that, it's a challenge. And as human beings, we love a challenge, and so forth. So it's something that's actually etched into the very fabric of our being to actually explore, just like Christopher Columbus and so forth, as he traversed the Atlantic and made new discoveries and so forth. And it's the same basically for people at NASA and people that have this vision of terraforming Mars. And as I've explained before, the ways that we can go about that, even though that there are great obstacles, there are great possibilities as well in terms of actually terraforming the planet. Now, in fact, we talk about religion. As a result of terraforming Mars, there could be new branches and new theologies that actually come into being as well. So it's a fascinating thing.
Well, let's just hope Mars Attacks is not there. These creatures that I just put up, we don't want them there.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. Here's I'll take them down in a minute. I won't keep them up too long.
By the way, is this going on YouTube?
Yes. Here's my question. I'm someone that has seen weird stuff in technology that seems sci-fi. Like I have seen a large ship in the sky above Tennessee and smaller ships go into it and dock. And maybe there's something that it was that can be explained. I don't know, but it looked weird as hell to me. I've also saw UFOs many times with witnesses. That's why we do the show. We've been doing this almost, 18 years if you count all my first interviews with Jeremy Vianney. And that was the main reason, is because I saw weird stuff after my father's death and going through testicular cancer when I was younger at 17. Somehow that opened up my senses to see UFOs and things like that. And I've also seen some strange beings that I can't explain, from beings of light to little beings with hoods in the woods with a black box in front of them, things that seem weird. I don't know what they were. They were ET or fairies. I don't know what the hell they were, but I've seen them with multiple witnesses. But here's the thing. At one point during my UFO encounters, some type of agency came out to investigate. They didn't talk to me face to face, but there was a vehicle over the house with a man in it that seemed like he was in some kind of military garb, like an Air Force or something. But the vehicle he was in was like a helicopter with no blades, no rotors visible, silent, just hovering. And he goes like an asshole and shot off right over my house. So there's a lot of speculation and stuff about from exopolitics, which a lot of that I don't think all that's true. I think there's a lot of kooky stuff in exopolitics, but there's a lot of secret space stuff. Like we've had Augie Nost on. A lot of people think that we may already be there on some level. Do you think that's a possibility, even if it's a minor level, that there may be already there? Do you think that's possible?
Sorry, you were breaking up. Can you?
I was just saying, do you think our governments may already be on Mars and we just don't know?
I was going to ask that too. There's speculation.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. In that sense, I don't believe that, but I do believe that we have the technology to get there. No question about that. I think I'm going to be a bit controversial here, and but I'm going to say it anyway, especially because I'm absolutely exhausted, and I'm just going to come out with it. Basically, the club, I call them the club, the people that control the very dynamics of what happens every day, the club, I call them, and they control NASA, they control the scholastic system, they control the academic system, they control
the banking system.
They control everything, basically. They control the planet. People call them the Illuminati. I think that word is passé as far as I'm concerned. They're just basically the club, the power that controls all things, the motor that controls
TB, the powers that be.
That controls the Federal Reserves, that controls the banking systems, that basically controls the media, that controls the television, that controls every angle of human existence.
Yep.
They are the power, and I believe that they have the technology recruiting the best brains on the planet to basically do things beyond our wildest imaginations. But it's all about timing. It's all about timing. So they basically plan it strategically when things are going to happen. But they have already, as far as I'm concerned, the technology to go to Mars and so forth, and incredible technology. I mean, I don't want to sound controversial here, but I'm going to just mention this very quickly, so slightly off topic, slightly off trajectory. But cancer can be cured.
Yes.
Cancer can be cured via frequency, reverse polarity. Cancer can be cured by frequency. The truth of the matter is they can cure many, many, many things. But unfortunately, and it sounds controversial, they don't allow that because of many reasons and many factors, which I don't want to go into now. So there's a lot of power and potential, and there are things that transcend our minds in terms of the capacities of what could actually take place in terms of within the medical sphere, in terms of space and technology and terraforming. But it's all about timing. But cancer can be cured via frequency, reverse polarity. Reverse polarity cures cancer. You bombard cancer at a certain frequency, you destroy the cancer. So, but and I know for a fact that they can do that. But of course, there's more money in people being ill and so forth, and it's all about money and so forth.
Which is exactly why in this country they kind of got rid of Tesla's idea for how our electrical power grid was going to work, and they went with Edison.
They bumped him off. They actually bumped him off
for it. That's
they took his technology and they bumped him off.
Yeah, well, Trump's uncle took the technology. But the thing is, with the U.S. government, if they can't slap a meter on it and charge you money or tax you on it, that technology doesn't go through, which is one thing why Tesla didn't go through. Which is the guy who invented the hydrogen cell engine, which we used on our forklifts at work, he died in a weird car accident. But they paid him $1 billion in 1984 to quash his hydrogen cell fuel engine, which ran on distilled water. And created, it creates potable water. That's the one byproduct. It creates ozone and water. But they quashed that technology, and then Toyota and I believe Toyota and the OPEC nations didn't let that technology come out until the late 90s when we had the first hybrid hydrogen cell engine. And it's right there in front of everybody's face, but nobody really sees it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Tesla, the whole thing of HAARP, the whole thing of HAARP, changing weather conditions through electromagnetic radiation. They took that from Tesla, and they create HAARP, basically sending out electromagnetic radiation into the atmosphere, and you change the molecular structure of the atmosphere, and you can induce all types of weather conditions.
Well, they can also point it at the Earth and create.
This is all through electromagnetic radiation, which basically goes back to Tesla.
Well, they can also do this with the same project. They can take it and point it at the Earth and create earthquakes wherever they want. Pinpoint.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Fundamentally speaking, going back to Jeffrey's question, there are technologies and things out there that are mind blowing within the medical sphere, within all different spheres. But it's all to do with timing, their timing when it comes out. So that's basically an answer to your question.
You're muted, bud.
Thank you. Do you need to take a little break, Anthony? Are you okay?
Well, it's 6 minutes to 2, so let's get to 2 o'clock, and then I'll have a few minutes break. Yeah.
Okay. It's we understand.
It's all that coffee I've been drinking, huh?
Most assuredly, it'll do it, and definitely. So, what about you? Have you had a lot of interest in the UFO situation? Have you had any experience?
Well, obviously, as a science fiction author, I've been. Goes without saying. As a sci-fi author, which sci-fi author doesn't have an interest in UFOs? Of course, absolutely, no question about it. In terms of actual personal practical experience, I haven't seen anything in that sense. But there's no question that there is intelligent life throughout the universe. As I said, there's no question. Just mathematically, statistically speaking, there has to be intelligence throughout the universe, just from a mathematical perspective.
Well, I was trying to bring that up earlier. There's the guy, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Drake. He was one of the guys that made the message that went out on Voyager, the first Voyager with Carl Sagan. But he has a mathematical process for determining how many planets have intelligent life in this galaxy. But his mathematical problem, I'm going to put my camera on because I need my hands. His problem is like this long, like calculus thing with A's and weird symbols, and each symbol is like, how many planets do you think are in the galaxy, and how many of those planets do you think can hold us an atmosphere, and how many of those that hold an atmosphere can have intelligent life? So it's all asking for guess numbers. I use practical numbers, and I call it the J equation because I came up with it. Use our solar system as an example. Our solar system, what most people don't realize, has over 300 larger than planet Earth-sized planet things. Let's just call them all planets. All the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn has 260 some moons. Jupiter has 63 or 64 moons. Right there, there's 300 planets. Boom. That's not counting the original 9. So let's say there's over 400 planet-sized things in our solar system. We know of one that has life. That's one integer. We know of one that had life. We call it 50%. That's Mars. So we have 1.5. We have another planet that we know has life. We're 99.9% sure. That's Venus. So that's 2.5. I'm not going to use the moons of Jupiter, but there are 2 moons of Jupiter that are probably atmospheric and they're smaller integers. So right there we have 2.5. We'll round it up to the number 3. Divide 3 by 100 trillion. That is the current estimate of how many solar systems, not planets, solar systems. Imagine 100 trillion solar systems with average of like 300 or 400 planets around them. You divide 3 by 100 trillion. That's how many spacefaring civilizations are in this galaxy. It's in the billions, hundreds of billions.
Well, as I mentioned, just via the Kepler Space Telescope, as I said, 1 in 5 stars has an Earth-like planet that's habitable in an habitable zone at the right distance from its sun. So basically, that's like 80 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone. So as I said, there is intelligent life out there.
It's more than that. It's trillions,
as an approximation. As I said, just the Kepler, just via the Kepler Space Telescope, that is, that basically 1 in 5 stars has an Earth-like planet in its habitable zone at the right distance from its sun, which is actually very, very important for the development of life in terms of the right temperatures and so forth. So that, in quotes, approximately is like 80 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone. So there's no doubt that there is intelligent life out there.
I don't know if you're familiar with this, Anthony, but we have the James Webb telescope has discovered at least like 13 or 14. Let's just call it a dozen stars with apparent unnatural structures around them, or
absolutely
equivalent to a Dyson sphere. So there's at least a dozen of those.
I speak with a friend of mine who works at NASA, and absolutely, yes. There are constant developments that are. Obviously, science is transitional as human knowledge expands. Mm-hmm. So there's constant, in quotes, evolutionary developments. We're constantly discovering new things as we speak, and so it's a continual change, a continual evolution in terms of discovery and so forth. So but fundamentally speaking, at the root of it all, when we break it down, there is no doubt that there is life beyond Earth, and that is fundamentally what it all breaks down to.
My answer to the question,
in terms of just mathematics and statistics, we know that there has to be, from a mathematical perspective, there has to be life beyond the universe and so forth. And it's a phenomenal thing to conceive and to think about. Yeah,
I've been saying, and I've got it on hundreds of these shows for the last 10 years I've been on it, and even beyond that, when people asked me if I believed aliens exist, my answer was always this, and this is coming from like the 90s forward, and Ancient Aliens stole part of it. But anyway, I would always answer, we are not alone. We have never been alone, and we will never be alone. We've been surrounded by alien civilizations for our entire existence, and most people they have blinders on. They just can't see it. The evidence is all over the planet.
The weirdest thing that's going on with that, and I hate myself for even trying to go into it, is those Skinwalker Ranch shows. I haven't been keeping up with. I didn't watch the second season of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, but basically they admitted that they're studying these ranches for the government, and Bigelow bought it. And there's phenomenon there, UFOs, Bigfoot, crazy spectral wolf. There's crazy stuff there that's really happening. Our government admitted that they really bought it to study it. And then they put this show out that is the craziest show I've ever seen on TV. And not only is it crazy because of the paranormal phenomenon, which I can relate to because some of the stuff is similar to what I've seen, but there's so many government spooks on that show. Former CIA, former scientists that used to work at the Bigelow Ranch, that Travis dude that came out, and he was hiding it from everybody. And basically, Bigelow security, they had a meeting with all the governor of Utah to find out why black helicopters were coming in there unannounced. The craziest was on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, where Chris Bledsoe, author of UFO of God, which is a crazy book on Amazon in the Christian section about a dude that summons UFOs, supposedly a true story. They had him on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch with neurology, like X-Men crap on him, with some dude that runs the machine to see what happens to his brain when he summons UFOs of light in the heavens. Now, I'm sure most people are looking at this going, this is bullshit. But here's the weird part about it.
It's on video.
It's on video, but Colonel John Alexander's there while he's doing it, and two former CIA spooks who are former CIA. They're all on this show.
There's no such thing as former.
Yeah, well, CIA. They used to be in the CIA. Well, if they were in the CIA and now they're not, that's former. They're still in it.
I will guarantee you that.
No, that's certainly possible. I mean, I'm not ruling it out, but I'm just saying when it comes to aliens, then basically they were trying to drill through something, claiming it was a possible alien base or military base that they can't drill through. So I'm just saying there's a lot of spook theatrics going on with these shows. And I definitely think there are, John Keel, the Mothman Prophecies, even talks about these beings living amongst us. I mean, I think, and there's the Brazilian cases where the UFOs come out of the water and attack people, and the military got in a firefight with them. That was George Knapp from Coast to Coast on that alien investigation on Netflix.
What about Charles Hall, Lieutenant? Was he a corporal? I think Corporal Charles Hall, or Sergeant Charles Hall. He claims to have spent, I think, 2 years at what's called Area 53 in Nevada. With the race of beings called the Tall Whites, or
I've heard of that. Yeah,
I think they're actually I forget the name of the race, but yeah, they're like 7 8 feet tall.
Nordic or something. I don't know if they're Nordic.
The one also referred to as Nordics, yes.
And Robert Salas, which I don't know what he's up to. He was enlisted in the Air Force when I had him on. He wrote a whole book about UFOs coming and shutting down nukes while he's still in the military.
Yeah, he was the captain of that base when it happened. He was locked in the bunker when the UFO, an orange ball, flew over top and seized control and turned everything off.
So, I mean, we're already in foreign alien territory that's gotten weird as shit lately, even more so, so weird. One side of our government's admitting they're retrieving UFOs and bodies, while the other side that released UFO videos saying, no, that's not true. There's no life here. Like, we've been seeing the weirdest stuff in the United States about UFOs.
No, it gets weirder. It gets weirder. Jeffrey, I don't know if you've heard this, Jeffrey. Anthony, you might have. You seem to be in the know. The White House, I don't know how many days ago, but very recently, either earlier this week or last week, said that they are in control of space-time travel equipment.
Yeah, that was even on Newsweek. I mean,
think about that,
It was Trump rambling and some other dude, but it's still, I mean, I believe they've been messing with that. But Anthony, do you need to take a little break now, or what do you need to do? Are you okay?
I'll tell you what, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to get a quick coffee and come back, yeah?
All right, that's cool. Take your time.
Okay, yeah?
No problem. We're going to talk about anything.
It's just gone past 2:00 in the morning here, so I'm fighting the will to sleep. So give me a few minutes. Thanks.
No problem.
It's no problem. No problem. All right, everybody. Let's look at the schedule a little bit. I certainly relate and understand being exhausted.
I'm gonna finish this cigarette while we talk about that.
I feel crazy lately, like I've lost my mind, and something wants me to become a freaking like super serial killer.
Really?
That's how I feel lately, yeah. I just
Is there a particular brand of cereal you want to go after, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll. Who will I track down as this new life as Dexter? Yeah, it'd have to be a Dexter thing. If you're gonna do it, do a Dexter angle. You know, go after the real scumbags. You know, I've always had this idea for a book about a serial killer. I shouldn't give away my ideas. That reenacts the impalements of Vlad the Impaler in people's living rooms and front yards.
Wow.
So that'd be good. Call it the Impaler. You could just just put the thing up their orifice, whatever. Like Seven with Brad Pitt and Kevin Spacey. It's a good one, but
I think Kevin Spacey's kind of banned in Hollywood these days.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
he's made some weird little comebacks that are bizarre.
Well, he may be in indie films, but I don't think he's going to do a Hollywood production. He let it out of the cat out of the bag.
He made a weird. Have you seen the weird videos where he still pretends to be the dude from House of Cards?
No, but I heard that he had some videos of him being in the House of Cards with like underage boys, so that was kind of messed up. So that's
he made these weird videos where he's still in character of Frank Underwood, and they're weird, like really weird. Like they're on YouTube, but they're weird. I wouldn't want to be alone in a room with Kevin Spacey, but
no, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't accept any sort of mixed drink from him, strictly from the bartender's hands, and it doesn't leave mine till I finish it.
Yeah. Seems like Marilyn Manson's bouncing back from all his sexual weird stuff. That he won.
Sorry, I'm back. Marilyn Manson, you mentioned.
Yeah.
He's actually part of the satanic LaVeyan. You know Anton LaVey.
Yes.
Anton LaVey, who's now he passed away a long time ago now.
Yeah,
he started basically the satanic church in San Francisco, and I know that he's basically he's part of that.
A long time ago, in my earlier, more shocking days, those are gone. I've interviewed people from that church a long time ago.
I mean, they're basically atheists. They basically there's two types of Satanists. There are the ones that actually believe in a satanic deity, which are the most dangerous form, and they're the ones. Anton LaVey basically started his satanic sect, but basically it's atheism. It's atheism, basically. Do what they will, Aleister Crowley.
When I have those interviews, I pretend I'm Geraldo Rivera. And
you've interviewed some of those people, have you?
A long time ago. Like when I first started, I used to do more shocking interviews just for like attention, like
I was going to say Church of Mabus. I figured that.
Yeah. Well, that was mostly just me trying to piss people off.
Did you interview Nicholas Schreck by any chance?
No, I don't recognize that name, but I've had some people on a long time ago from the church that was like the spokesman. This is like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know, but
that's before my time.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but had Peter Levinda on about Unholy Alliance.
Yeah, I was here for that. He was really good.
Those are good.
Yeah.
But I don't I'll have those on around Halloween.
Basically, Anton LaVey was basically an atheist.
Yeah.
And fundamentally speaking, his idea was basically do what they will, Yeah. It's all about the here and now. So
Aleister Crowley.
Basically like Aleister Crowley. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
he used the Satanism as an archetype. There was no literal Satan. It was basically a symbol of rebellion. Do what they want. Do what they will.
We had something like that here.
Like Aleister Crowley with the Book of Magic and so forth.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of Sammy Davis, that musician. With him. I'm like, that's so weird.
He was part of it. He was part of it.
Weird.
In fact, there was a lot of people in Hollywood, actors and very famous people, are actually part of the satanic Anton LaVey sect.
Yeah, that's weird. And
very, very weird, yeah.
And the Jane Mansfield thing with the car wreck, the actress, some weirdness. We've done shows about it, but not in a while. I'm predominantly Christian, but I have some. I like the native belief systems. I've had people on about Norse shamanism. I like the medicine way, if you know what I mean, like shamanism and stuff like that. But I grew up Christian, and I love the Norse stuff and I love Native American. I think the Native American, if you really want to go for the truth about some of these subjects like UFOs and stuff and aliens, that's where you go. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
India too, that whole belief system with India and all that. There's a great show on HBO called Legends of Shiva, where they go to a guy named Amish, an Indian dude, takes you on a tour of India and shows you all the archaeological and stories of the gods. It's so beautiful. Like I've listened to some of that music. Like, man, I'm feeling this. I don't know if I'm going to become an Indian, whatever their religion's called, but this music, I like it.
Well, there's also some fascinating news about Indian stories, the Mahabharata, to be precise. Now, so years ago, Heinrich Schliemann, I believe he was Austrian. He using just like the book to find the city of Troy. He used clues in the book written by I forget who, but it's an ancient book that we all had to read in school.
Yeah.
And there's two versions of it, but he followed the clues and found the city of Troy, making it not a no longer a mythological city, but a real place. And they're still digging it out of the ground to this day. There are two cities that are destroyed by a fire in the sky, which creates a flood that covers these two cities. One of them is called Dwarka. They found it. And they also found the other city that was also destroyed at the same time. And these cities are just off the coast of India, buried and like in pristine condition. Just the roofs are collapsed in. The buildings are still standing, and they have coral that have grown on it. But imagine that a wall of water just lands on you, and kerblam, you're done. But your civilization remains because it's preserved underwater. That is cool.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
So what got you so into Mars, man? What happened?
Well, I mean,
cool.
You asking me?
Yes, Anthony.
Well, I'm my background. I'm a philosopher of science. I'm a philosopher of science, and my real area of expertise is actually science, philosophy, and theology. And I've done lots of presentations and debates about science, philosophy, and theology, proving the existence of God through scientific analysis and philosophical argumentation. I'll send you some of my presentations. In fact, the first presentation I did with you was exactly on that subject 4.5 years ago. But so that's my actual background: science, philosophy, and theology. Science, the philosophy of science, and so forth. But as a science fiction writer and as a philosopher, I'm very universal. So I've gone not only into philosophy but into astrophysics, celestial mechanics, and so forth, and sort of branched out. So I'm very, 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 very universal. So a philosopher, but very universal. A philosopher that touches on theology, science, robotics, artificial intelligence, like my book Androids and the Gods, astrophysics, sort of a modern day Leonardo da Vinci. I know that people are going to think I'm arrogant for saying that, but that's the truth. I'm very universal. I touch on everything. And the reason why I got pulled into that area of thought is because of my love for astronomy and astrophysics and so forth. And so I spent a lot of time writing books about Mars and so forth. The Mars Time Project was my first, Under a Martian Sky, and many short stories that gravitate around the whole notion of terraforming Mars and so forth. So that's basically me. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to have to go shortly because I'm absolutely exhausted.
No worries. I got to say though, don't feel bad about the Leonardo da Vinci reference. My mom found out through I guess my grandmother, someone on her side did a background check, one of those 23andMe things, and we're actually cousins of Galileo Galilei. So I have strong.
Oh, well, there you go, Galileo Galilei. Yeah.
I have strong aptitude in all the sciences. Well, the earth sciences anyway, natural sciences.
Well, fantastic.
I mean, I'm not a bad painter, so
I mean,
I did that.
I mean, obviously, I'll just end with this. I mean, Italy is responsible for some of the greatest minds of all time, and I mean, obviously, the Renaissance, which started in Florence, the rebirth of art and all the other disciplines exploded in Italy. And so Italy is the heartbeat of a lot of great people. And I have to chuck myself into that as well. I'm sorry to be arrogant, but I'm going to have to say it. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, and art it makes its peak
I-
in Italy.
my
and
wife
it
says to me-
grows out
my
from
wife
there
says to
until
me
that
that I'm-
Spaniard does that Picasso stuff. Until then.
My wife says to me, I'm too modest these days.
Yeah, don't be.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate you stopping by. We got an hour or more out of you. That's pretty good. So,
How long are you going on for? How long are you going on for?
Another 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
wow.
fine. I mean, it's
No,
not
it's 2:15 here.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how to get your book, where to go, any links or anything.
Yeah, in terms of my, I've published 10 books. If you go to Amazon or even Barnes and Nobles for the Americans, go to Barnes and Noble online. My books are there. Amazon, Waterstones for the people in UK, Chapters for the Canadians. My books are available basically everywhere, but obviously the quickest and the best way would be via Amazon, Amazon.com or Amazon UK and so forth. So, and some bookstores also have my books. So yeah, I've published 10 books, and my last book was Proxima Centauri B, The Alien Mind, which in my next presentation we'll talk about.
Yes, and you're our official Mars correspondent now, friend to the show.
Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you very much, Jay, and thank you very much, Jeffrey.
I have a whole list of questions for you the next time you come on, and all about Mars. I have a great deal of knowledge of it. So
I'm going to send you the books anyway. Be my pleasure. You've sent me your address, haven't you?
Yes. If you look in the
Jay,
chat,
are you on Facebook? Are you on Facebook?
I am.
Send me a friend request so we can connect.
I will.
Send it there.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks,
Get some rest. Good night.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. And listen, we'll connect soon and we'll do another presentation.
Definitely. Take care, man.
Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, send me the link. Send me the link of the show. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
Thank you. Take care.
Stay out of trouble.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty, everybody. You're listening to United Public Radio, 107.7 FM, New Orleans. Some Mars.
Mars
What's up with all these yuppies?
But the things I wanted to touch on. I mean, too bad. I mean, it's the time difference is the thing. Maybe we do a special show on a Saturday one time, or bring him in on the chat, and you come in there. That's 7 o'clock, but it's only an hour earlier. So, but I mean, he touched on a lot of things. The main current, what mainstream science thinks happened to the fifth planet, which is the asteroid belt, Mars, and our Earth, is that there was like a gravity surge from Jupiter of some kind that burst the fifth planet, sucked away the atmosphere and water off of Mars, and tilted our planet. But the Sumerians talk of a planet that actually, or some sort of large orbital body, flew through the inner planets, destroying the fifth planet, sucking the water and atmosphere off of Mars and dumping it on Earth, and then depositing the planet that came through where Venus is. So all the planets in our solar system rotate counterclockwise, I do believe. They go counterclockwise. They go that way. Venus goes clockwise, the exact opposite. So it's not from everything. In the sun goes counterclockwise. We go clockwise around, and so does Venus, but we all spin the other way. Venus spins the same way all the way. It's weird. Doesn't belong here.
Yeah. And I don't know. Why do all these yuppies want to go to Mars? Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
He said, what if you were born there? And I was going to touch on the theory that there was a civilization on the fifth planet and probably on Mars, and we are a society of either both, or we were from the fifth planet. We went, as it was being destroyed, we hip-hopped to Mars. When it was about to get destroyed, we moved to Earth. That's the speculation.
I think
Mars Day is exactly, I think, almost 3 minutes more than ours. It's like 2 minutes and 22 seconds. So it's 24 hours, 2 minutes and 20. Whereas our Earth Day is like 24 hours and like 25 seconds.
Yeah, it's always crazy. You ever seen all those weird pictures though? They try to show you that there's stuff on Mars, like a handgun or a skull, or
that's all bullshit right there. But
it's funny though.
There is a speculation in a rumor that's been going around since at least I'd have to say they got gathered speed in the early 70s. The speculation that the Nazis first of all had a base on the moon, and then later on there was speculation that not only did they have a base on the moon, but they sent some guys to Mars who never returned. Also, the guys they sent to the moon never did either. But then also that the United States has a base on both Mars and the moon, and possibly other destinations. Basically, anywhere that NASA has gone, there's probably a U.S. military presence in or near that same landing zone.
Yeah. Based on the weird stuff I've seen, it would not surprise me at all. That was some weird stuff, whatever it was, for sure. Seemed beyond the time that beyond the technology that they're emitting to. That's for sure.
Well, we have the Space Force that Trump has been given the credit for creating, but the rumor is that that's actually started in like the 1960s. The infrastructure for it began in 1958, but they didn't actually have a physical fleet or personnel until 1968. And at that point, it wasn't our devices that we were building or operating, but we did have. I think they were. How were they listed? As foreign advisors, but they weren't foreign so much as they weren't from this solar system.
And I don't know. I'm trying to look at the schedule. What do we got coming up here? Let me find this damn thing. Maxim Furrick. Did you get that book? Lost Tribes of Bigfoot?
I do believe you sent it to me. Let me go back and see. I'll have to
and another one. Look for this one. DMT Entities Illustrated Guide. Did I send you that?
I don't know. Let's see. What do we have up here?
Next week is Maxim Furrick. He was just on Michelle's show not too long ago. Lost Tribes of Bigfoot.
I got Alterna Comics. King Cry.
That's King Cryptid. That's something else. Let me look.
And keep going. StreamYard. StreamYard. Stream. Tripping the Trail of the Ghosts.
That's an old book. I mean, that's that P.D. Newman dude.
That's the most recent thing he sent me, April 5th.
Let me look here. Bigfoot.
Lost Tribes of Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, April 1st. There it is.
How about DMT Entities?
Hang on a second.
You got Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, so.
Let me go up some more. Socrates' Wife, that's not it.
I got the DMT one here somewhere. Here's the file for it if I need to resend it.
Still going. I don't see it.
Hold on. Basically, Maxim Furrick's next week, and then an Arthur and a dude and a woman is the last show that we're doing the month, and that's Illustrated Field Guides to DMT Entities. And it's pretty.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Let me find it so I can send it. But it's pretty wild. Like there's some wild stuff in it.
Is he talking DMT like the drug you put on your skin?
No, it's like ayahuasca.
Oh, okay.
The stuff like Joe Rogan smokes and crap. Or whatever.
No, I don't watch Joe's show. I mean,
there's stuff.
More power to him, but I have 4 shows of my own, so
I've only watched one show of his. But 4 shows, God, they're slaving you out, ain't they?
I do 4 shows on this network, dude. Yeah.
God, how do you do that? Are you on cocaine?
No, it's right across the street, my gas station / convenience store. They have 2 of these for $4, and it's a quart. So I have a half gallon of tea.
I'm lucky that with my mom's health and heart congestion and wondering if she's going to pass away, and
Oh, shit.
I have tons of health stuff. I'm lucky to do this show. And some years I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm going to do
Well,
this anymore, but I do it.
But I woke up at 5:45, 15 minutes before my alarm, and then I've been on a forklift for 10 hours until 6:30. I had an hour time, which I came in here and I quickly got the show ready for later tonight. And then I have this show and then that show, so I'm on the radio for 5 hours until 1 a.m.
Crap.
2 hours here and 3
Damn.
hours on the flip side right after this.
It's crazy.
A lot of hours.
I'm trying to send you. He done slaved you out. Let me find this DMT so I can send you this book. Hold on.
All right.
There's a link I can send you. Hold on, where did it go?
Mm-hmm.
I sent you the DMT book.
I didn't see it. I just scrolled all the way
It went
through.
to your emails. It went to your emails on April 14th.
Oh, email. I was looking through Facebook.
There's a DMT book in your emails to JV McNicholas and then J USS Lexington. That USS Lexington don't work anymore, does it?
No, I haven't had that in years. That was
Well, it went to your. You said cool back to it, so you got it. You said KEWL.
Yeah, that's from my Google Mail.
But I don't know. Everything just feels like crap. It feels like they're hitting us with energy weapons to fry our brains and make us like want to be aggressive and kill each other, like the crazies.
Well, the one that has me concerned is the India-Pakistan shit.
Yeah,
that's a scary one.
That calmed down though, didn't it? I was keeping up with it a little bit.
I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see anything on that. I was trying to watch the news, so I'd have something to talk about on the flip side next up here in about 40 minutes. But they started out boom, 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 and then there was a ceasefire. And then hours later, India said the ceasefire was no good. Pakistan was doing some shit, and they launched attacks back in, and then it went back and forth again. And then there was I don't know. So they're on again, off again. It's like they're a married couple.
Yeah, that's insane. Me and Wham talked about it some. Like I didn't know much about it, like historically. So she told me all the stuff about it.
But they've been antagonistical with each other for the last 70 years anyway. But the thing is that it was just all of a sudden it just came to a head. It was out of the clear blue sky that these attacks happened. It was just weird.
Yeah, and I mean, lately I've just felt drained. I've lost like 40 pounds. I'm wondering if I'm about to drop dead. If I am, I'm like, okay, you're gonna do it anyway. So just go ahead and just get it over with.
Losing weight's not a bad thing, unless it was like you lost 40 pounds, from today to yesterday. That would not be good.
It was over time, but I normally am someone that never loses weight, like ever. Like it's like the biggest, weirdest pain in the ass to lose weight, but it's made me paranoid where I probably need to go for a checkup or something. But I might at some point. I have insurance I need to use 1 year.
Might not be a bad idea to go. It could be a good thing anyway.
Yeah, but I'll go at some point, and I have to go to the dentist. I haven't been to a dentist in a million years. Surprisingly, my teeth are pretty good, but there's some pain, so I'm sure there's some cavities. I'm sure.
I've got a chipped tooth I got to go get fixed, but things have been so nuts, I haven't had the chance.
And then my mom got hit with all that crazy stuff, and I'm worried about that. If she croaks, it's going to be a brand new nightmare.
Yeah,
so,
it ain't easy.
I know you've been through a nightmare. I lost my dad, so I know part of it. Sucks. It sucks. Definitely a terror, a nightmare.
Yeah. But speaking of tarot, I can't see with my glasses off, but I still think that tarot, that it's got like the GM monsters, or it's got the Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula. It's got the Scooby-Doo gang. That tarot card set, you remember that? You got one of those?
What is it?
Oh,
I sent it to you.
No. I think Inner Tradition sent it to both of us.
I probably got it. I just don't remember exactly which one.
That's in the wrong place.
I have so many. I just got one called the Unexplained Tarot that has Bigfoot in it and stuff. That was pretty cool. It was on sale on Amazon for like $15
Oh wow.
by a guy named Dave Zilla. Like Godzilla, but Dave Zilla.
Yep.
But it has Bigfoot in it and Mothman. It's pretty cool.
Why this is happening like this? Somebody.
I like a good tarot. A good tarot. I don't like listening to those people on YouTube, though, that read them. They get on my nerves. I like to do my tarot reading alone by myself with no one bothering me. I don't like to
Do you
listen.
see that rock anymore? I hope not, but let me find that tarot set. There it is.
I think I'd have to see it to remember it.
Trick or treat. Trick or treat.
Oh, yeah.
The trick or treat tarot set.
That's a good one.
This is freaking cool as hell. I don't remember how to open it. Does it slide out? Is it? Oh no. Yeah, magnetic.
So I remember it.
I just thought it was just pure cool. Oh, I put it in there wrong.
Make sure you get that DMT book from your email when you can. If you don't have it, for some reason, let me know.
I will definitely let you know. I think it's in there. I think I know what happened. So that's the back of them.
Yeah, that was a good set. I need to find mine. It's here somewhere on a shelf.
You have to find the ones that people would recognize. Oh yeah, look, they're like that's the Sleepy Hollow dude.
Talking about Headless Horseman?
Yeah, Headless Horseman. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll just let you see if you can. They're kind of glossy, so it's hard to get a good picture.
Okay,
You
is that
see who it
cat hat?
Dr. Seuss, yeah.
Yeah. Two.
I didn't know he was in there. I have to look at this some more often. He has a very deep voice. Morpheus.
Oh yeah. The blue and the red pill.
Yeah, like this is probably true of today. This is the card of justice with the Statue of Liberty being walked by the guy from Monopoly.
Nice. What one was it again? I missed it. I didn't look.
Yeah.
Oh
Guy
yeah.
from Monopoly we're walking hand in hand with the Statue of Liberty, and they call it justice. Vampire, Dracula, Vampirella. You remember her?
Sure do. I know the comic. Yeah.
And then you remember this dude?
Frankenstein. Yeah. There's a great Dracula tarot that's a Vlad the Impaler historical, no fantasy, just Vlad the Impaler. It's on Amazon. It's called it's just a Vlad the Impaler tarot with like the art is amazing. It's like woodglyph cuts of all the people being impaled and stuff. It's really creepy too. It's like one of those you're like, damn, this is creepy, but I like it.
Is this Alice in Wonderland? I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's Charlotte's. It might be Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, it seemed like a pig.
Charlotte's Web, yeah.
A piggy. I'll have to look at those again.
Yeah, I didn't know. I looked at them like a couple of times, but I didn't look at. I guess I didn't look at them as hard. There's just some very, very cool. Oh my God! Really? You got Star Wars in there.
Nice. Well, if I croak, I love you all. And if I croak and like a great undoing happens and a comet runs and all kinds of weird stuff happens like the quatrain, then I was Mabus. So I don't think I am. But if I croak and it happens, hear these words. I say woe to the inhabitants of the earth. I say woe to the inhabitants of the earth. I say woe, dude.
You recognize this dude?
Joker. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. For sure. Look at old Mark Eddy in there. He's coming on at some point. Did you get his book? Wait, let me make sure that you. Yeah, you're here for. I sent you his book. Did you get it?
Which one was it?
Lizard something.
Oh yes, it's in. It's I think you sent it in what you call it.
Okay. That's going to be a whole Mark Eddy archaeological show. Y'all could talk and I'll just meditate. I'll ask some things.
The creature.
Yeah, that's cool. He looks like he's just sexy.
Why does he have flippers though? I mean, like, the
No,
kind you buy in the store. It's the kind you buy in the store though.
Maybe he's just being silly. I don't know. You would think he wouldn't need them.
It's a dude in a costume. That's why.
You would think he would not need them at all. Did you watch Star Wars Andor? I'm trying to start it up. I never watched this. Supposed to be good. Andor.
The first season was good. I'm gonna watch. The second season's already going. I'm gonna watch it at some point.
Supposed to be better. I read, but
there are 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah, because it's like this one and then one more, I think. And
I've had trouble starting it for some reason, but
they're gonna lead. This second season leads up to almost close to the events of right before the Death Star.
I looked at that Tales from the Underworld cartoon and I stopped it. I didn't like it.
Oh.
Some Star Wars cartoon called Tales from the Underworld. I just couldn't get into it. Andor looked good though.
Here's a cool one.
Is that Cruella de Vil? Yep.
Yes, it is. Good. That's a good one. Yeah, you got to know this one.
Yeah, baby. That's right.
If you don't know this one, I don't know. You didn't watch enough TV as a kid.
No, I know it. The Monsters.
The Monsters.
Very good.
I must have missed them, but somewhere in here there's a deck or a card in this deck with the Scooby-Doo and gang.
What has been going on with all the technical stuff? Rumble was attacked. All my Vietnam.
Rumble got messed up.
All my Vietnam people wiped out. They're having to rebuild their stuff, and it doesn't seem like Rumble's going to help them at all. Like they don't care. It's
Rumble's still kind of wonky. It's working, but it's wonky.
That got the crap knocked out of it. And then what happened to StreamYard? That just got the crap knocked out of it. It's finally back to normal.
It was some sort of, I don't know. It was an AI attack. It was a glitch, but it's resolved. So
I was talking to Michelle for a long time. Finally, she was telling. At first, I read what she said, and it's like my brain. I was like, I'm going to need Jay to read this to tell me what the hell just happened. It was so weird. I was like, I can't even process this. Like 3 hosts can be on at once. You need a code for the show. You need a code for to do it. Make a show on there. I'm like, dude, I quit.
People log in at one time.
I'm like, if it's gonna be like this all the time, I quit.
It was a pain in the ass. But thank God it only lasted a day. So
yeah, I was lucky. I was glad it got back to normal. I didn't know what was happening. It almost melted my brain. With the Rumble thing and that, it was just too much. Like, I'm just tired. I work. That's one of my biggest problems with my relationship. I'm told I work too much, and I do. Sometimes I don't even take a day off. I sit here and post from like 2 to 10. I work at home, but I'm crazy.
Yeah, I work 4 days a week, but those 3 days that I do nothing, or I paint. I relax. I'm exhausted when I'm not working.
Yeah. And my hobby's been Kickstartering. I'm having to break a hobby, but it's a little at a time. But at least I got the Transformers Compendium before I went broke. But they're getting some of their channels back and paying me a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But one guy, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but we'll find out. But anywho, and then I got the other thing. If you want to help me out, anyone out there, if you're listening, Before It's News, where I work, it's a crazy little place, and they like to stroke the Trumpagoo. But anywho, it's got other subjects there too. It used to be for liberals and Republicans and everyone, but since Trump has turned into like a weird new like man in the high castle. But no, you could do paranormal stuff there too. So there's a lot of spiritual and paranormal, but mostly politics. But anyway, if you go there, Before It's News, the visitor count's been 5,000 per day. I was told that I need to raise it to 6,000 for it to survive. So that's some more news I got this week. So if you want to help me out, go to Before It's News and just float around there for the rest of your life, and maybe you'll help. But
hey, you know what we should do if you want. Why don't we can present some of your stories right here? Why don't we do that?
Yeah, well, mostly all I do is share videos.
Let's see.
You'll like them because they kiss the Trumplegooch. Here's one: Trump shocking middle of the night announcement. I didn't even watch the video, so you'll have to go there to see what that's even about.
Probably his granddaughter or grandson was born while he was in.
Stephen Gardner, which is a pretty big dude, and like a right wing dude. 107, big intel. What is happening on President's trip to Saudi Arabia? That's another one of mine. I'm dominating right now. I'm like
he wasn't in Saudi Arabia. He was in United Arab Emirates. They're two completely separate and different countries.
No, I don't know who made that title. I just stole it. It ain't my title, so I don't know. If you'll have to watch the video to see what's going on with that. The lady's pretty big, so hopefully she's not a complete idiot. But that's just the title from the video that I put up from the video. But the other thing, Nino, that's David Rodriguez, a boxer who seems to be right wing. Trump's golden age prophecy unfolds on this date. The pale horse has now appeared with Bo Poloni. Another one, Benjamin Fulford, urgent emergency. They were all executed at Gitmo. They probably weren't, but that's something he's talking about. Right-wing Trump people love the Gitmo. Like they even pass around a weird list with Adam Sandler and Madonna on it who are in Gitmo. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. But
hey, Jeff, why don't you hit the present button and throw those pages on?
How do I do that? I don't know how to
Look
do
at
that.
the thing where it says present, share screen.
Okay, hold on.
Click on the title that the screen
it's a
says.
link, though. It's a link, though. I can do a link.
No. Show the screen here. Look.
Oh.
Tell me or send me the link on private, and I'll throw the page up.
Okay. All right, hold on. Private. I'll send you a couple. Basically, it's just like news from right-wing people about Trumplegooch. Some of them will say stuff about him like he has a clone.
Share screen, and then it says Nino Trump's golden age prophecy unfolds. Is that the one? Doink.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of these hosts kiss Trumplegooch butt, which is fine, but a lot of them will say things that question him, which is good. He should be questioned. Like they'll say he has a double, that one that loves vaxes, one that doesn't. Let's not get into that, but there's all kinds of weird stuff. There's Michael Jaco, Navy SEAL, who has kind of their own rumble, you know. Get over here, dog.
These are all. Is this whole page your stories, or is it everybody's stories?
That's my story right there. The one.
Hey, well, it's underneath of it. Is this you too?
That's just another video under it. Oh my gosh! Look at that sexy. Look at those sexy guts.
You had to mention something about losing weight, and there it is.
Yeah, but that's one of them. If you go to Before It's News, you can drive our visitor numbers up and save my job. So there's other stuff there. There's a lost video interview with Bill Cooper. Let's go to the paranormal. There's a whole top unexplained section. Top psychic was vividly shown.
Let me put this link out for everybody. That's the page that we're on.
There's a whole unexplained area.
And what just happened? So where do you want me to go? Paranormal? Where's that? Categories?
Go to old version. How do you go to old version? You may be able to get to it from the other. I usually go to old version. Go right there. See on the right? Go over to the right. The other side.
Right here?
That's yeah. Oh, one more. Over.
Old version.
Right. Yeah.
In big bold letters. See, if it was a snake, it would have bit me.
It happens. Just click it.
We're there.
It's not. Click it again. It's slow for some reason.
Isn't that it?
It ain't gone to the old version yet. On my end.
Hold on a minute.
But I've been there since 2012. Chris Kitts used to own it.
Try this. Boing.
This right-wing dude that I don't know, he has a lot of money, but he sold it to Glenn Kennedy, and then Glenn Kennedy passed away a week after owning it, and now Jeff Osborne has it, his friend. And
How about that?
there you go. And there's all my post and editor's picks. If you go down to the right, go down, scroll down,
Editor's picks.
as far as you can. Yeah, that's all. That's just where the newest stuff goes. But go down a little bit more to the right there. See, top unexplained. A lot of unexplained in there. This place has been around a long time. A lot of people give it crap because it's uncensored. So some people can come there and post whatever they want. They can post something that's full of crap. I mean, a lot of times I think I don't know. I think
that's the same problem Wikipedia has, because Wikipedia has some of its articles can be, edited by the general public, and others you have to be, a member of the staff to edit them.
Yeah.
But it still is a good resource regardless, because it's free. If you want to go to like Encyclopedia Britannica, they want you to pay like $42 a month.
I know there's only 2 people that work there now and that put up articles besides the people that just do it, who don't make any money doing it. But it's been through hell and back. And I would think the numbers would be bigger right now because Trump's in. So it's weird. I know we've had weird stuff where like Google and Bing and certain search engines try to block us, like on purpose, where you can't find us. Like they hate us. They try to block you. But that's an interesting one. What's the title of that one?
Alien Beings Final Warning for Humanity from the Lacerda Files, Part 4.
Yeah. That's actually one of my managers, Sharon, that put that up. She's trying to boost numbers too. So, but yeah, go to Before It's News and check it out. Maybe you could help boost us. Boost us, baby. I need a boost. But I got to get it up to the 6,000s or I'm going to be working at Piggly Wiggly. Doing pretty good. I'm the only one boosting, though. It seems like where's everybody else is supposed to be boosting? I'm boosting. But I'm a one-man army there. But anywho, been there since 2012. A long time. They were just on God's Word, Psalm 79, and read some prayers on here, the boss. But yeah, it seems to be in the search engines okay now, but I don't know. What is Ajax? I don't know. So many weird things. You can't keep up with it. Oh, a new show started by J.J. Abrams on what?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Duster.
Yes.
It's got the weird dude from Lost in it that has a big forehead. I think he'd make a great Frankenstein.
I never really watched Lost, to be honest with you. Anyway, those are your websites there. So I mean, if you in the future, we can do a whole show just on that and just go through your articles if you want.
That's a good idea. That's
YouTube
an idea.
And Rumble audiences.
All I'm doing is sharing from media platforms and other people's content, which they have embed codes, so you're allowed to do that. They want you to do that. A lot of them stop by and thank me. There was one. God, what is her name? Kirsten. She passed away. She was from Thailand, and she was actually Kirsten W. What was her real name? She was actually in the Doors movie, but she had her own radio show. She's friends with Roseanne, and she passed away during all the crap that happened, with the plague. And she stopped by and thanked me for putting up her stuff. So sometimes that happens. But she was in here she is, Kirsten Weldon. Kirsten Weldon was in The Doors and Hard to Die. I don't know what that was. She died on January 6, 2002 in Carmel, California.
Hit the present button. Show it on the screen.
Yeah, hold on. You always make me do that. All right, hold on a second. Present. Make sure nothing else up. I don't want no Pono to come up or something. There's none on there. There it is. Window. Wait, no, that's not it. There it is. See that? Wait, there it is.
Now it is.
Oh, no. There it is. Oh, where did it go?
Quit. Yeah, too many.
There she is.
Too many cheese. Yeah.
She came and thanked me. She was in the Doors movie.
What does she look like? I don't see her picture though.
I don't know. Hold on.
It says add photos. So I guess she never had any.
You can find pictures of her, I would think. Kirsten Weldon.
Probably pronounced Kirsten.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's her in the hospital bed. So depressing. Hold on. I found a picture of her. Very beautiful lady. Hold on. Remove. I found a picture. Let me find this. Oh no. Hold on a second. Stop screen. Let me get rid of this. Present. What do you go? Share screen. No, that's not the one. It's this one. No, not that one. Hold on a second. There it is.
If you hear any weird yelping, it's the dog. He's in the room.
There she is. She was friends with Roseanne and played someone in the Doors movie.
No, I don't know her.
Yeah, she died in 2022. There's actually a picture in the hospital bed with her mask on. How depressing. My God.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. But nice enough to come and say thank you. Who does that? Not many people. So I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I've had a few brushes with a few famous people, and it's been cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Roseanne and her have done interviews and stuff. At about 5 minutes, man, I feel tired.
Have you been raining down there a lot? We've been under cloudy, rainy days for the last like 3.
It's been raining pretty good lately.
You know what'll help? Go to the Walmart next time you go to Walmart, and I think it's only like $10, $11. Get a 400 or 500 pill thing of just vitamin D. It'll say D3 on the bottle.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a yellow green bottle that you can see through. But you need 500 milligrams of D a day. You just take 4 pills a day, and that's what I do, and I feel great. But some days if I don't get enough sleep, I'm done anyway. So
I probably need some. I used to take it, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good for you.
Vitamin D3.
It'll say D3 on the bottle. Yeah, vitamin D.
Everything just feels weird. I don't know. It's just I've been feeling overly aggressive.
Well,
I'm angry.
That could be. There was speculation that there was some sort of destruction on this planet every 30-some thousand years. They say it's in the geological record. They say we're overdue. Maybe part of it is we go through a radiation belt that makes all of our brains wonky, and that's when all the wars break out. And then there's, a big meteor strike and everybody dies.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a crazy movie on God, what is it called? It was on Netflix. It's a Spanish show, but really good. Hold on, it's called The Eternaut. The ETERNAUT, and basically it's really good. It has great reviews.
It's actually not in Spanish.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was like it's from a comic book, but basically that's the name of the comic book. But anyway, some craziness happens, and if you go outside, you can get the snow on you, you die, and then some crazy bugs that look like scarabs come. And they kind of do some invasion of the body snatchers, but it's crazy good. It was really surprisingly good. And you can watch it in English subs or Spanish subs or whatever you prefer. But it was actually really good. It's on Netflix. And it's got great reviews, but weird alien. Yeah, weird alienness that's about the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good. But all right, everybody, you listen to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans. Tribes of Bigfoot next week. Are they related to the Jewish people? I don't know. I have to look at the book more. I don't think so.
Let's trying to offend the audience.
I know. That's one thing. Tribes of Bigfoot. Doesn't that do you think of the 12 tribes of Israel? Like, for some reason, that's the first place I go to. And I don't even know if that's what he's talking about. I need to
I forget where I was. I don't know if it was on this show or another show on the network where we talked about the tribes of, some of the tribes of Bigfoot. Yeah. I was watching Sean Kelly's show on Sunday, and he had Donna Coppice on, and she's a I forget, was she Lakota? She's a native tribes woman and an elder. She told us stories of the Sasquatch and the dog man that she encountered, which were really good. But she said that there are like there are tribes of Native Americans. There are tribes of Sasquatch or families, and they're like the deer tribe and the bear tribe and the coyote tribe. They name themselves after whatever animal is like their favorite. I guess it was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's her name again?
Donna Coppice.
Nice.
I can tell Sean I can ask Sean if he'll put us in touch with her if you want to like reach out to her and get her on the show.
Let me know some contact info or something, and I'll work on it.
Okay.
But I always like a good native show. It's my favorite.
Oh, she was awesome. And I'll be seeing Sean in about 20 minutes, so I can ask him.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week. Tribes of Bigfoot. Good night, everybody.